Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Sorry that I was gone for a few days, but I was on a trip, and I didn't really have any time to really post videos or even prepare because most of my stuff is in the now instead of in the past. And so getting anything going up like that is pretty hard. But what we have here is that some interesting stuff. And now that I'm finally back, I can get back to the normal routine. Alright guys, so what we have here is something that's quite interesting, something that the culture is slightly changing because Walmart is seeing the negatives of having DEI policies, and everybody else is pushing back against the woke narrative because it's insane and complete insanity. What we have here, my friends, is that Walmart rolls back DEI policies, becoming the latest U.S. firm to join growing trend. Walmart is making slate of changes to its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, aka DEI, becoming the latest in a growing list of major corporations to halt the so-called woke initiatives. Anti-woke activist and filmmaker Robbie Starbuck, who has been leading a campaign exposing major corporations' woke policies, said on X on Monday that he warned Walmart executives last week that he would be doing a story on wokeness of the retail giant. Instead, Starbuck shared we had productive conversations to find solutions. Starbuck outlined the changes Walmart agreed to make, including working to remove sexual and transgender products inappropriately marketed toward children and reviewing grants to pride events to avoid funding sexualized content targeting kids. Which, that is huge. That is massive. Because we all know that the LGBTQ plus community and what have you is really marketing towards, well, children. I mean, that's kind of what they do. Or try to groom children. And now that this is being pushed back, and that this is not going to be doing something that Walmart is going to be doing, it's pretty huge. I mean, this is a change in the culture war. Walmart clarified that these changes have been in the works for a few years and were not a result of the conversation with Starbuck. So I guess this has been happening for a few years. So I guess give or take 2021, 2022, and they were already planning on doing this because the culture was already somewhat shifting between those few years because of the Bud Light situation where they got completely blasted and they're pretty much almost not a company anymore. It says Walmart confirmed to Fox Business that it plans to change how it monitors products within its marketplace and reviews the funding of grants. The company said some products that violated its policies have been removed, such as chest binders, products designed to flatten the chest, and when marketed to children. Yes, that's what's going on here. They also go on to say that the company also confirmed it will review grants, especially for community events, to ensure they promote an appropriate environment for children. However, Walmart will continue to support Pride celebrations. Now, I'm actually not too far off with the Pride celebrations type things. I think that they should not support them because of what Pride does to children in particular and how they end up sexualizing children. Gays Against Groomers kind of really emphasizes on how bad it is, or how bad of the culture it is for Pride celebrations. And let me be perfectly clear here. If you are doing Pride celebrations, right, and it is all adults, and if it's sexual theme or whatever, I really don't care. That is up to you. That is your choice. And you're doing it in a private setting, I really don't care. If you're doing Pride celebrations in your home, I especially don't care. Because it's in your home, it's in your private setting, I don't care. But when you start doing it out in public and bringing children to your Pride celebrations and sexualize the nature, that's when I have a huge problem. That's when I know that you are trying to indoctrinate children, you're trying to groom children into this time-whiskable thing that is just complete insanity and disgusting, and I don't approve of that. And the public mandate has pretty much agreed with me in this standard. You can have your Pride celebrations, just don't have children there if it's sexual in nature. Honestly, I wouldn't like you to have children there at all, because I don't want you guys pushing your ideology onto other people, or at least, the very least, children. So, goes on to say the company has also decided not to extend the Racial Equity Center it launched in 2020 as a 5-year initiative and will ditch the terms Latinx and even DEI altogether in official communications. That's huge, guys. That is massive because we all know DEI is not for it's not to prevent racists, right? It's not to prevent people that have a leg up. It is pretty much saying, oh, you are of this color, you get to be ahead of this other color that because of disparities or whatever. That's pretty much what DEI is. And it's not being very inclusive. It's actually insulting people, because that means you're not actually getting in because of your merit, because of your intelligence, because of how good you are. It just means that you're getting in there because of your skin tone. And the last thing I want to be hired is because of my skin tone. I want to be hired because you deem me as a good fit. You think that I will be a benefit to your company, not because my skin tone means something to you. And that's the reason why I get in. That's just so demeaning and disgraceful, and honestly, in my personal opinion, racist in that regard. And we all know that a lot of Latinos do not like Latinx. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. And they probably think it's more gender neutral. Well, from what I gathered, Latino is the most gender neutral you can have. So, yeah, I think maybe that the Latinos really just did not like that, which I don't really blame them, because you're trying to take what these wokeists and these far leftists are trying to do is that they're trying to take your language and change it into something that's not what that means, and change it into something that they deem appropriate, and that's just disgusting. You have this language, and that is your own language, and that's what it should be. Like, sometimes the German language, from what people gather, it sounds angry, but I'm not gonna make it to where I'm not gonna change words to where like where it can be seen more happy or whatever. That's not my job. That's not my duty, and I'm not gonna change an actual language or a word into something that is not approved by the actual people of that language. Like, okay, like, hello. So, yeah, and we have this said, and then it goes on to say that Walmart also joined an array of companies in recent months, including Ford and John Deere, to end participation in the Human Rights Campaign Corporate Equality Index, which is an actual annual survey and report used to gauge policies, practices, and benefits pertinent to lesbian, gay, bisexual, or LGBTQ employees, right? Walmart confirmed it was notified by the Starbucks video last week. Walmart does not generally comment on politics, which I don't think any company or any celebrity should comment on politics at all, honestly. I think it's net negative for every company and celebrity to talk about politics. I think it's a terrible idea, and it usually has a negative effect, and a lot of companies are realizing this. In a statement to Fox Business, Walmart said it is willing to change alongside our associates and customers who represent all of America. So, what we have here is this, that from the Daily Mail says, the Wahington Commanders agreed to uncancel Redskins logo. So, it says here that the Wahington Commanders, aka the Redskins, managing partner Josh Harris and the NFL Commanders ownership group have agreed to uncancel the Redskins, the iconic Blackfoot Chief logo history. In a post on Facebook by Republican Montana Steve Daines, the congressman wrote that the censorship of the former Commanders logo was a classic case of woke gone wrong. I applaud the Commanders and the NFL for the commitment to censor the logo again, and for working with the Walter Blackie, that's a very interesting last name, Wetzel family to restore the logo to a place of prominence and honor to benefit an Indian country. He added, mentioning the Native American artist who used Blackfoot Chief John Two Guns Whitecap as the inspiration for the logo and the NFL team, used for almost 50 years. In 2020, the team announced it was removing Redskins from its name, and 2 years later announced the National Professional Football Team would be called the Washington Commanders. The name change came about from pressure from the cancel culture while following the death of George Floyd and those who claimed that the term was racist and offensive to Native Americans. And that's the insane part, right? I don't think it was an offensive to the Native Americans. I mean, this is mostly just trying to say, like, oh, this is part of a Native American culture. It's kind of celebrating the Native Americans, and that they actually have like a football team that's in one of the most popular sporting events around the world or in the world, where they have Redskins, and it's showing like, okay, this is what we are, and there's not an issue. It's like, put this for instance, guys. Say that like you're Indian, right? And then your idea, or what to celebrate your Indian heritage or what have you, is that you put your logo onto a jersey or whatever, and it's just called, and it's like it's of an Indian, right? And you call yourself the the horse riding Indians or like the Indian redskins or whatever, and then some nut job from a minority group is all like, oh, that's racist. You don't like Indian heritage. It's like, what are you talking about? And Steve Daines had something to say about this and how insane it's gotten.
Calling out leaders on a case of really woke gone wrong. The irony that they were canceling Native American culture as the DEI movement went way too far. Look, this is honoring a Blackfeet chief who was born in Montana. He's highly esteemed. The Blackfeet tribe of Montana, their current chairman and the tribal council signed a letter in strong support to bring the logo back. It honors Indian country. So we've had good discussions with the NFL and with the Commanders. There's good faith negotiations going forward that's going to allow this logo to be used again. Perhaps revenues going to a foundation that could help Native Americans in sports and so forth. We're making good progress, and based on the good faith negotiations, I made the decision to support this bill yesterday in the committee.
I know that they put a plaque up at Northwest Stadium honoring Wetzel and the logo. It'd be great to see it back on the helmets again. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
So that's what's going on here, right? So they're just really happy. They're a sense of sign of strength, and I agree. And I think the worst part is here, though, guys. The worst part that we have here is one of the big things that we have is this, where we have this here from the Resist the Mainstream. Now, this is specifically going off of a girl that's going off of puberty blockers and stuff like that, and kind of how whether this is a big deal.
What that looks like is therapy services, it's clothing, it's haircuts, and at this age it is a hormone blocker to prevent her from going through puberty.
This is my hormone blocker right here.
Could that treatment be reversed at some point?
Yes, absolutely. It's really a pause button. Katie gets more time to live in the body that she has now.
On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care.
Trump has promised federal restrictions on transgender rights, including far stricter rules about gender-affirming care, especially for minors. One trans rights organization saw a nearly 700% increase in calls to their crisis hotline after the election.
What would happen if your daughter didn't get that care?
She would end up going through puberty, and it would be traumatizing to her.
See, this is what I mean by that a lot of these women have been radicalized to believe that this is something that is normal and this is what you should do to your child. To put it in perspective here is that the actual puberty blockers is going to have a huge effect on your child, and it's not going to be reversible. It won't ever be reversible, and that's how they lie to you and saying, "Oh, like don't worry, son, father and mother, it will be reversible." So that way they can get the money out of you. So that way they can horribly murder and mutilate your child, and then your child will probably go and off themselves anyways because it doesn't solve the problem. So these people have been obviously lied to, and they go on to say as well that like, oh well, Trump is the one that is going to go against trans people or whatever. The only thing that he's doing, and as he quite mentions, is that he's only going after the ones that are targeting children. They're not literally going after trans people, but he's going after the people that are going after for specific children. Children should be able to grow up, and they have like a 70, 80%, I think it's even 90% rate of just being normal, of just being of who they are, and people are trying to prevent that from happening. So that's what's going on, but our culture is changing, it's healing, and we have to embrace and see that. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, guys, share. Love to see you all again, and take care.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. Cause it's algorithmic disease, the social media.